Hi, this is BioEnchanted. I just want to do a quick little video just talking about art in general and whoops, wrong tool. I was just talking about art in general and why I really dislike the idea of certain types of art. Like, for example, I've never really been able to get in touch with the idea of AI because it just feels kind of boring to me. Because it's like the whole thing with like actually creating stuff yourself is that you can make other music mistakes that AI wouldn't make in ways that it wouldn't make those kind of mistakes. Like, for example, if I'm trying to pull out a nose, I might think I'm right in the middle and try and pull it out. And certainly in this case, I was right in the middle, which is nice. But earlier, I actually kind of made the mistake of trying to do that sort of thing and ending up sort of with a weird situation where I'd kind of accidentally grabbed it a bit to the side, resulting in this kind of a weird sort of a situation where it was kind of like with. Oh, kind of like that brow actually. Well, it's not really a brow; it's inverted. But well, the point I'm making is like AI has very kind of limited in what kind of stuff you can do because you can't really make the same kind of errors like this sort of thing as you can with physical, like actually playing around with it with a human. I'm just trying to kind of like mess around with the idea of trying to make like a human head because I'm very bad at that, and I want to see how this would kind of go. That's not quite working. I'm just kind of playing around really with some ideas. Yeah, no, that's completely screwed it up, hasn't it? I'll try something else there. That's clearly not working. Well, it's just kind of I'll try zooming further and see if that kind of helps it not become so wonky. I was kind of messing around though with sculpting and things like that, and it's just kind of I find it more fun to actually try and do it. Oh, that's more like it, because this is the sort of thing that you miss with AI is this kind of discovery of like actually just playing around with something and seeing how it works. Like here I'm trying to kind of carve out some eye sockets, for example, so that can eventually build some eyes into it. And certainly this nose is quite large, but that's fair enough for I'm just kind of messing around trying to get like a general idea of a face. I can always fix that as well. Like there's a lot of little things that you can do, and certainly it might do a bit weird in certain areas because you don't really know what you're doing. But then again, neither does an AI. And I find it's just a lot more fun to try and do this kind of stuff yourself anyway because doing it yourself results in you actually like learning more about how it goes together. Like for example, at one point I wanted to like get into learning how to code with Unity, which I find a little bit overly kind of well, it's quite difficult because it's very overly technical. But like something that someone brought up at work was like, "Oh, why don't you just try using ChatGPT?" And I'm just like, because I don't want to, because that sounds like the most boring possible way of dealing with things. But also the problem with doing anything in purely with AI is that it results in like having code that you can't debug because you don't know what it's doing. There's a lot of that sort of problem happening. I'll try strengthen and decrease, see if that does this better. I don't know. I'm just kind of like trying out things though, seeing how things go. That's a little bit overly done, I think. But then again, that's why this tool exists. I'm just kind of like trying some stuff out, really, to kind of like get better at using sculpting and things. That's a lot better, actually. That's still not very good, though. I'm just trying to kind of like work out like because half the fun I'm having with my with learning Blender and things is making these kind of mistakes and realizing like different ways of better ways of doing things. Oh wow, that's a nightmare. But this is why it's kind of like more fun to kind of like play around yourself and try and figure things out, because you end up with like these very weird situations that you wouldn't really, again, just generating a perfect face with if mushy face with AI wouldn't really work in the same way. But yeah, clearly making a mouth has not gone well there. I've kind of turned a bit uh, into Darkman a bit there, so it's a bit wonky. But it's also just a lot more fun to try and do it yourself, even if you fail, because it's like the problem I have with sculpting at this point is I have a lot of trouble controlling it and trying to kind of figure out how best to actually, like, for example, that is way too big. It's like, that's sort of the thing I'm having with like, this is like something that I need to get a hang of is controlling the tools I'm using, because I have very bad control over them. But that's why you practice. So you can see that's a lot better already. That's why you practice, so that you can figure it out and get better at things like that. Because I'm sure eventually I'll figure this sort of thing out, because I've not used any real tutorials for. Oh, that's actually not so bad. Actually, I've kind of salvaged them out there. But like, this is why it's like I've been using like tutorials for certain things, but some things you just kind of want to play around with. Like I know there's like a tutorial for making a human, but it's more fun for me to just try and figure it out yourself and just have a bit of fun with it and just see how things go. Keep forgetting, of course. Pull out some eyes a little bit there, because it's like it's experimenting. I'm kind of figuring it out as I go, and that's half the fun of, oh well, those eyes went a bit weird. It's quite fun to try and figure this sort of thing out though, and get the hang of it on your own. Partially because oh, that line in the middle's kind of gross there. Oh my goodness, I do not like that. That's what's made it worse. These eyes have gone horribly, horribly wrong. I'll try blobbing them. Nope, that made it worse. You know, this is why it's fun to kind of like try and figure this sort of thing out yourself, because even if you royally screw it up, you're having fun doing it. Typing a prompt into ChatGPT would not nearly have been this funny or this fun for me to just kind of mess around with. Let's just ignore this mess now and. Oh my goodness, I made a mess of that. But again, this is why I'm trying to get into practice with doing this sort of a thing, because I'm a bit kind of like, not quite scared, but kind of intimidated by the idea of sculpting. And I'm trying to sort of become a bit less so. Like, I'm trying to become more confident with it. And so I'm just kind of trying stuff and seeing how things work out. And just in general, and it's. And again, I haven't kind of always start with a big brush, as the CG cookie thing goes with. We'll try zooming in a bit more so I get more topology maybe. No, I just need to use snake hook, I think, for this. And if you want to go for Elfias, that'll work. Or that's kind of a bit Vulcan now. Oh, this is going kind of a mess, but that's fine, because, you know, it's okay, things will be a bit of a mess because I'm just messing around with stuff, not really trying to make a particular kind of a thing. There's more hair than anything else because of those things here. Let's try and smooth that out a little bit using this technique I learned from the other thing. Low strength this to kind of try and smooth out topology. We'll see if it works this way. And then on the smooth to kind of. Oh, that's a little bit better. But yeah, like I made a mess, but it was a fun mess to make, and that's just kind of like, this is why I prefer to try and learn this kind of thing, um, on my own, and like, oh, not quite on my own, but like without using really annoying tools that kind of take all the fun out of it for you. No, I need to make it go in a bit actually to try and salvage this. So hold control, make it go in a little bit, and oh no, it's doing this weird little thing. It's kind of... That's a lot worse than it was, so let's leave those alone for now. But this has been fun to kind of experiment with and just kind of play around with the tools and just try and kind of get more confident with them and just see, like, because I'm kind of learning how they kind of don't work sometimes, or like how not to use them. For example, there's some interesting kind of like things I've learned as well. For example, with the smooth tool, for example, if you kind of like, sometimes you can kind of like unsmooth and it kind of makes this whole kind of a thing, and that could be potentially useful if you want to do that on purpose for any kind of reason. Like if you wanted to make something have a bit of a rocky texture or something like that, or make a kind of crystalline, it kind of like you can do that in a much more natural way with that, and that's kind of fun. But it's all about like just playing around with the tools and seeing what you can do with them, and you can't really do that with AI. And that's kind of half the fun of trying this kind of thing from the first time. For the first time, not even for the first time, but just trying it out, is even if you screw it up, it's your screw up, it's the screw up you've made. And I just find that a lot more fun, really, because it's always fun when something is something that you've done. Like, this is terrible, but it's my terrible. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of muse on that, and the whole thing just in general, like just playing, being able to just play with the tools you have, rather than just having it done for you by a computer. It's just more fun to be able to do this kind of thing and just play for a bit, and make this very strange kind of crystalline Nosferatu situation. Yeah, I've never tried to model a human head like this before. Like before, I just kind of like used other methods, but yeah, clearly it has not worked. But again, it's fun to kind of figure out why things don't work and things like that. It's a bit of fun. Let's try. Just having a bit of fun really right now. There's a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street situation here. Holding his breath now. But yeah, that's half the fun of playing, is just messing around with stuff and seeing what happens. No, yeah, I'll see you next time, so thanks for listening for any of the people that did. Goodbye.